In 2020, the Academy made the surprising and rare decision to award the coolest and most deserving film that year the Oscar for Best Picture, director Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. Both a recognition of the masterpiece Bong had created and a long overdue honor for one of cinema's greats, the win also afforded the director with a blank check for his next project. Mickey 17, a big-budget sci-fi adventure, is how he chose to cash it. While certainly no Parasite, Mickey 17 is still head and shoulders above most big-budget fare being released today. And with its satirical tone, incredible world design, and anti-capitalist themes, it is also a Bong Joon-ho film through and through. Robert Pattinson stars as Mickey Barnes, now on his 17th life as an expendable, a disposable worker who is reprinted every time he dies. The original Mickey fled Earth with his unscrupulous friend Timo, played by Stephen Yeun, after they became indebted to a particularly psychotic gangster. Now aboard a spaceship headed to the planet Niflheim, Mickey finds himself in the service of failed politician Kenneth Marshall, played by Mark Ruffalo, who seeks to colonize the planet with his cult following, striving for purity among his flock. The situation for Mickey, constantly dying for this crazy natalist zealot, is not ideal. But a growing love affair with security agent Nasha, played by Naomi Ackie, helps to make it tolerable. After giving numerous lives, performing dangerous tasks, and being experimented on, they finally arrive on Niflheim, and Mickey's real problems begin. When Mickey 17 is left for dead on a mission, presumably to be eaten by the indigenous worm creatures, Mickey 18 is created. The issue is, Mickey 17 is still very much alive. Numerous reviews and a subpar box office performance have clearly labeled Mickey 17 as lesser Bong, and I won't entirely disagree. The film is perhaps at times too silly for its own good, it has some slight pacing issues, and not all of its myriad ideas fully come together. The ending is also surprisingly hopeful for Bong, a director known for a certain degree of cynicism, and that hope feels a bit fanciful right now. That being said, even if Mickey 17 is lower on Bong Joon-ho's filmography, that is really only because his output has been so stellar. Mickey 17 is not shy about its themes or what it is satirizing. While your mileage may vary, one person's ham-fisted is another person's comedy, the film is intentionally blunt, as Bong often is in his films. Snowpiercer is a film where the class system is literalized as a train, and his main character ascends the wealth ladder as he moves to the front. Parasite, while more self-serious in tone, has a similar metaphor at its heart, rendered vertically instead of horizontally. Following in the lineage of Tilda Swinton's Minister Mason from Snowpiercer, who is clearly styled after Margaret Thatcher, Mark Ruffalo's Marshall has been widely compared to Donald Trump. And while there are clear stylistic similarities and purposeful allusions, such as his supporters wearing red hats, like how Swinton drew influence from Gaddafi, Hitler, and Berlusconi, Ruffalo's performance also has further layers. These include his fanatical obsession with natalism, his wife's strange sauce fetish, his insanely white veneers, and the cultish church behind him that they constantly refer to as the Company. All of these details both point to various inspirations and inform different themes within Bong's film. As for Mickey's story, the Expendables program is a clear manifestation of the violence inherent in the class structure and the logical endpoint of allowing corporations to trample over worker rights. But what Bong does with the Multiples plotline brings in additionally fascinating elements, both thematically and in regard to Pattinson's performance. I'm not exaggerating when I say that Robert Pattinson deserves an Oscar nomination for his embodiment of the divergent personalities of the two Mickeys. For 17, he portrays a nebbish, far more docile man who has resigned himself to his fates. In short, he's kind of a loser. But with 18, a switch has flipped. Hard-nosed and commanding far more confidence, he's borderline psychotic and has embraced the abyss he's grown accustomed to as a reason to rebel. Pattinson does not just rely on their actions to differentiate between 17 and 18, but adjusts his vocal performance and even posture to tell us more about who these disparate characters are. It is all incredibly impressive. Bong also literalizes the dynamics between workers, both in his rendering of these multiples and in how the Mickeys are treated differently by fellow workers. Mickey 17, while clearly aware of the ways he is being exploited, has largely resigned himself to the system he exists in. Too squeamish to try to change his material conditions, he keeps his head down and follows the rules. But 18 has become radicalized. He is tired of his exploitation and is willing to take extreme action to attempt to change his lot in life. Not only does this represent the progression of class consciousness, but the conflict between the Mickeys shows the difficulties of organizing collective action. This is exacerbated by further alienation the Mickeys experience from their fellow workers. Similar to undocumented workers in America, the Mickeys face deeper exploitation, and the outlawing of multiples, with the penalty being placed on the worker, is used to break the class consciousness that develops when expendables are able to organize together. Bong adds to this a deeply anti-colonial narrative when Marshall and his crew arrive on Niflheim and discover an indigenous population of worm creatures they immediately believe to be threatening. Ignorantly labeled creepers, the creature design and VFX work here is tremendous. They are the perfect mix of adorable and terrifying, hinting at a deeper complexity than brutes like Marshall are willing to entertain. As with any authoritarian, force is the only language they know, and the violent means they use to solve internal disputes always turns outward. Marshall, instead of choosing communication, chooses ethnic cleansing. Ultimately, Mickey and the other workers see how they have more in common with the indigenous creepers of Niflheim than these thugs that seek to destroy and control them, and Mickey 17 becomes a fight against their shared enemy. Bong even references one of the greatest films about anti-colonial struggles, The Battle of Algiers, with the high-pitched scream the creepers make, echoing the resistance cry of the Algerians against their French oppressors. The genius of Bong Joon-Ho, and why I have such adoration for him, is that he constantly manages to deliver such thought-provoking movies that also happen to be hilarious and entertaining. Mickey 17 is yet another example. I'm giving Mickey 17 4 out of 5 stars. It is currently playing at your local theater.